let's talk about abundance. If you are still one of the people who sabotage themselves and think that abundance, financial abundance, abundance of health, abundance of love, abundance of all the good things in life is being greedy, being like non-spiritual. A spiritual person shouldn't be asking for money, shouldn't be wanting money. Maybe you believe that money is the root of all evil. Maybe you believe that money is hard to make. Maybe you believe that healing needs to take time and it can only happen to people who somehow got lucky with whatever process they have applied. But it's not gonna happen to you because you're not good enough. Maybe you still believe that good things only happen to other people, not to you. I want to talk about abundance today with a specific emphasis on financial abundance. Probably most of you, being on this spiritual path, you already know that all of those beliefs about money being bad, about money being hard, needing to struggle to get money is not right. It's just old programming, part of social programming, part of the matrix that we have decided to participate in. Or maybe we haven't decided, but we were born into this reality and that's all we knew. But as we wake up, and the wake-up call can come from anything, as you know, I've been talking about it in my videos. This can be a health crisis, this can be financial problems, any sort of loss, any sort of situation where you are looking for some sort of out-of-the-box solution. The main thing that I wanted to emphasize how many people don't realize that living in scarcity, denying yourself abundance in any form, but also financial abundance, is one of the biggest, most common ways people deny happiness to themselves. Because what I like to say and believe, it's the lack of money that is the root of all evil. If you think about it, how much stress do you have to go through in your life? How much stress it's causing to people all over the world simply to survive, worrying about money and bills, worrying about how they are going to pay their rent, mortgage, worrying about losing a job, worrying about ending up homeless, killing themselves, doing jobs they hate, because they are worried that one day something is going to happen and the resources are not going to be there to support them. How many times do you stress and affect your physical health, mental health, because you worry about how you are going to provide for your family? Worrying about debt, worrying about paying off something that you borrowed from an institution because that's how we created this system. Denying yourself the right to true abundance, believing that you have to be better educated, have a better job, have connections, or God knows what, as perceived from the 3D reality mentality, where all of this is completely wrong. When are you going to actually admit that abundance is your birthright? That everything you have ever been told about money is complete lie? That money is simply energy and you are this perfect and whole divine being, eternal soul that is connected to the abundance of the whole universe, that God wants you to live the best life, that no matter what your religion ever told you about wanting to have money and wealth, it was just using the Bible or whatever other scripture against you by interpreting it in the wrong way. Let's even look at the scripture, the biblical scripture. Those who believe that they are abundant or wealthy, I'm just paraphrasing, it will be added on to them. And those who believe they don't have will be taken away from them. That's just a simple, direct message that you don't have the abundance only because you believe you don't have it. And once you know who you are and that you are the source of abundance, that's when you open the doors to abundance for yourself. But if you believe that you don't have, and if you feel that you don't have, that's how you're shutting the door to abundance. So that's why those who believe that they don't have will be taken away from them, even what they have, because they're living in scarcity. So they will be radiating scarcity and thus attracting more of it. Now, abundance, financial abundance, is about allowing yourself to live a really fulfilled life in freedom, to do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it. So it's not all about just accumulating money. What we really mean by abundance, by wealth, is freedom. And abundance is not just obviously about money. If you deny yourself the abundance of health by agreeing to whatever is going on in your health currently and just coping with it, almost like accepting that that's the way it is and I'm just gonna carry on and cope with it, that's another way you are blocking yourself from living an abundant life. Because yes, health comes first. But at the same time, how much health do we lose worrying about money, worrying about bills, worrying about, it's like we often compromise so many things in our life just for money. We stay in unfulfilled relationships in fear that there is no other way for us to live, that the universe is not going to provide for us, that we have to be in this relationship because otherwise we will not cope. And then you just create this sort of reality for yourself. You show that you don't trust the universe, you don't trust your divine nature, that the minute you release this relationship and free yourself, you actually step into your power. And you naturally will be rewarded by the universe with everything that you need. But because you believe to choose the security of the whatever unhappy toxic relationship, you decide to stay there because you don't have the strength and the courage to leave. And what does it show? It shows that you depend on somebody else. It shows that you are not trusting God, universe to provide for you. You are not trusting your own divine nature. And I'm talking from my own experience. I recently separated from my partner of 9 years. And it was all partially, we split up 2 years ago, and then soon after my awakening, and then we were hoping to give it a go and try and fix things and make things better. But only to prove to each other and to ourselves that it didn't make sense, and that we just stayed out of security and comfort and believing that nothing better is going to happen, or maybe trying to save the old feeling that has expired. There is nothing that we can force in this world. And especially when you do this spiritual work, when you raise your vibration and when you consciously or subconsciously, unconsciously change timelines, you step into this higher version of yourself. Anything that is not aligned with this version of you will simply disappear. And if you keep forcing it and keep trying to stick to it because you are not determined enough to make a decision to leave, whatever that is, a job, a relationship, any sort of friendships, the universe will create situations which will force you to do this. Your soul will be lovingly presenting you with opportunities to let go in a very, very clear way, sometimes even unpleasant, uncomfortable way, but that's the only way for you to let go. And even though I could sense intuitively that my relationship was coming to an end, I kind of thought I can be okay with it and I can just cope, even though there was nothing wrong going on. It was just like kind of more like there was nothing happening in this relationship anymore. So the soul decided, that's it, created situations where finishing it became unavoidable, became the most logical thing to do. So how much more are you going to deny yourself the right to live a fulfilled life only because you believe that you're not there yet? And this whole concept about healing and reprogramming, limiting beliefs and all that stuff, after nearly 3 years of doing the work, diving deep into spirituality, receiving lots of downloads, information, and just watching my life, I'm truly now of the opinion that maybe the reprogramming and the healing and the unlearning is good at the beginning as part of the first few phases of spiritual awakening. But after that, we have to be very careful with not getting to this loop of healing and healing, because we may end up healing for the rest of our lives and not achieving anything. If you wanted to try and reprogram every single thing you have learned in your life so far, it might take you a really, really long time. At some point, you need to understand that it is your human character that has all those limiting beliefs. And because you are not the human character, it's only your vessel, temporary vessel, whilst you are having this experience here on earth. So since you have to some degree detached yourself, or are detaching, or looking at your character as an awareness, which you truly are, since you are now realizing more and more that you are not any of this, you are not your body, you are not your limiting beliefs, you are not your thoughts. What you are is perfect, eternal soul, fractal of divine consciousness. And now if you can work on the limiting beliefs, you can write them down and you can work on them one by one and reprogram. You can use subliminals, you can use the common techniques, like whenever the limiting belief or the thought you want to reprogram comes up, you say stop, change, and you then put the positive one, the one that you want to program in. But how long do you want to do this for? That's basically like creating another big limiting belief, that I have so much to heal, so much to unprogram, so much to clear and remove from my subconscious mind. And we are very good at creating limiting beliefs because we have one fundamental limiting belief saying that things have to be hard, that we have to work hard for things. So we will create this limiting belief that there is so much to reprogram. I'm still not ready. I'm still not there. And this is a very tricky thing. At one point, you just have to realize and jump to the conclusion that, hang on a minute, if you made a list of all those limiting beliefs, anything that comes to your mind, to do with money, to do with health, to do with relationships, to do with the way you perceive yourself, anything, I'm not good enough because of this and that, anything. You can make a list of all of this. And then you say, okay, so this is how my character feels. This is what this person believes, has experienced, knows because of the social programming and everything that they have learned in life so far. And then, when you look at them from the human perspective, you may think, yeah, this is what I believe, this is what is true, this is one by one, I'm not good enough, money is hard to make, I'm never good with money, there is always never enough, it's hard to heal, relationships are not easy. All of this based on your past experiences and the experiences of other people around you. So you have so much evidence to just keep it going, That's what life is. And then, when you look at all of this as God, as source consciousness, as this pure awareness that hasn't got any of these and never had them, because it knows its true nature. It knows that it's unlimited in every possible way. And then, as God, you say to yourself, so as God, now look at them as God. Does God have a limiting belief about money that is hard to make? Nope. Does God have a limiting belief that healing is difficult? I don't think so. Does God believe that things have to be hard in life and take a long time? No. And then you go down the list, and the more you go down, the more you start looking how ridiculous all those beliefs are. And eventually you get to the point where you just cross them out, all of them, in one go, and just say, this is all bullshit. This is not true. This is not who I am. How does that sit with you? So you know what you can actually achieve by doing that? You can get rid of your beliefs, patterns, fears, limiting beliefs and all that stuff, programming in one go. I'm not any of this. Yeah, my ego believes I am, but I'm not. So you're going to the higher level of consciousness and you understand that none of this referred to you. None of this is true about you. So what is true about you? The truth is about how unlimited you are. And now let's go to conscious creation. So since you are not attached and conditioned by any of those limiting beliefs, you can have anything you want as the creator, as the only governing power in your life and reality. If you want to have what you want to have, how do you do that? How does God create? The God creates by decree, by a decision. This is what I want to experience. Let there be light. Let there be abundance. Let there be health. That's what I choose. And nobody can stop me. Who can stop me? And then your mind is gonna keep coming up on you and saying, yeah, but I can't just say it and it's gonna happen. Yes, you can. When you do it with the right understanding of who you are, yes, you can. Not as a little human, but as the operant power in your reality, yes, you can. And yes, they will say, how can you call yourself God? So many people have this problem with calling themselves God, identifying with God. And again, why? Because of the religious programming. For centuries, you've been told that God is this guy sitting up in the sky, cruel and deciding about your faith. And now suddenly you're supposed to call yourself this? But that wasn't true what they told you. And that's just another limiting belief. Kingdom of heaven is within you, Jesus said. So, if you have a problem with calling yourself God, say to yourself, I am one with God. I am God's golden child. And God wants me to have everything. And the only reason I don't have everything is because I deny it to myself. I am the only thing in the way. So how do I get out of the way? First, by understanding that you can have anything you want. And second, that the only way you can get what you want is by choosing it and sticking to it. Not begging for it, not hoping for it, not wanting it, although it is wanting, but just choosing it, embodying it. You just basically, I don't know, you can do a sliding door scene for yourself, I don't know, when you leave a shop or something, and say to yourself, the minute I leave that shop, I did it the other day, I am the new version of myself. You say it with the sort of conviction that is untouched, unbothered by whatever is going to happen in your life from that moment on. And the reason why it will be shaken by whatever circumstances after you have made that decision is because your old personality, your old timeline is going to be fighting for itself. It's going to be like an ex, a toxic ex. You know, when you remove your attention from somebody, when you remove your energy from somebody, you block somebody, and they have been feeding off your energy. And the minute you block them, for example, you block them on your phone, you block them on social media, you just say to them, I don't want to see you and hear from you ever again. If they don't want to give up on you, which they don't, because they just want you, they live off you, for some reason they need you, what are they going to do? They are going to do everything in their power to attract your attention. They will call you from some random, I don't know, their friend's phone. They will try to contact you. They will, I don't know, send you an email, because you can't block that really. They will come to your house and knock on your door. They will try to use some sort of emotional, I don't know, blackmailing, you know, they're going to kill themselves if you don't contact them or if you leave them. They will do everything in their power to keep this connection alive, because they want this, they need this energy for some reason. So exactly the same thing happens when you suddenly decide to be somebody else. When you decide to be the abundant version of yourself, the healthy version of yourself, the fulfilled version of yourself, whatever that is, suddenly the old identity is going to start fighting for itself, fighting for your attention, fighting for your energy, because it only exists when you feed it with your energy. So if you really wanted to break up with that ex, what would you do? You just don't respond. You ignore anything they do. But with other choices, like I am the abundant version of me, I am the healthy version of me, why do we respond to the old, whatever messages or triggers or situations the old version of us, the old ego, is trying to present us with? Why do we respond? Why are we not strong enough to stick to our conviction, the new assumption, the new decision that we have made, and we keep going back, responding to the old version? And at the same time feeding the old version, feeding it with our energy and keeping it alive. Oh, because it's difficult to ignore the pain. Oh yes, it may be difficult to ignore the pain, but you can do it. If it's physical pain or whatever symptoms. So the way you do this, you say, yeah, I know. It's just still the echo of the past timeline playing up in my reality. I can see this. Maybe it's not going to go away instantly as I made the decision. But if I stick to my assumption that I am healthy now, eventually it's going to be starved to death. But it's going to be starved to death only if I don't pay attention to it, if I don't feed it with my attention. If I don't say and whinge to my friends and myself, oh my God, how much it hurts and it hurts again. If you keep saying this, if you keep just constantly complaining and saying, I'm in pain again, and saying to yourself, have this inner conversation with yourself, checking, oh, it's hurting, oh, it's not hurting, hurting less today, hurting more today, how am I feeling, all that stuff. You have to abandon all of this completely, once and for good. Just like you cut off the eggs. Because if you don't, you keep being in between two timelines. And the only way for you to create a new outcome and create a new timeline for yourself, which you are entitled to, because there are multiple timelines available to you all the time. You can be anybody, like Dr. Joe says in meditations in his courses. You can be anybody. You can be anything, become anybody, do anything, because that's exactly what it is. But the way you do this is by feeding the new identity, not the old identity at the same time. And yes, it takes integrity, it takes audacity to really step into this fully, like go in 100%. But this is what is required to actually succeed. And this refers to creating wealth in your life. This refers to creating health in your life. And you can say, from now on, I am this healthy, financially free, happy, fulfilled person. That's it. Full stop. You can do a meditation, because if to your mind saying it once is not enough, because that's another limiting belief, you can do several meditations, imprint in your subconscious or conscious or whatever, just do the practice to give yourself this permission slip, to make it more vivid, to make it more tangible to yourself that you have shifted. Do it. So many beautiful meditations. There are meditations for quantum jumping, timeline shifting, meditations like Changing Boxes by Dr. Joe Dispenza, meditations like abundance, tuning into abundance, tuning into synchronizing to new health. All of this is the same concept. You step into the new reality, and you can say to yourself before the meditation, as an intention, the minute I finish this meditation and I visualize and connect to the emotions of what I want to be now, from now on, the minute I finish this meditation and I send it off into the field as my intention, as my chosen, my desired reality, this is who I am. And you stay there. And your inner conviction of you being that personality is the main evidence that you need to be looking for. Nothing in the outside. Nothing on the outside. Because if you keep looking onto the 3D, you are saying to yourself, to your subconscious mind, to the reality that you don't have it. If you're looking into 3D, and if nothing changes and you keep looking, it means you haven't shifted. Because the shift is not going to be happening for like years. Once you decide, you're going to start seeing the results within days, weeks, or months. It's not going to be like, oh, it's going to happen in 10 years' time. But you have to shift properly. And don't look for evidence. Don't keep like being desperate and wanting and thinking about it all the time. No, you've made a decision. This is who I am now. That's it. Relax. And whenever some old programming and thoughts and the body is craving chemicals from the old identity, and it will, and the old thoughts of how am I gonna pay the bills, how is it gonna come, what is gonna happen, and remember, all of those thoughts is just your old identity craving for its energy, its chemicals linked to those thoughts, beliefs, and everything else. So then you just remind yourself, you bring yourself back up to remember who I am. That's it. And you do not allow those thoughts to go there and feed this old identity. And whenever they want to go there, you just catch yourself and say, I am not that person anymore. The version of me who I am now doesn't worry about bills, doesn't worry and doesn't respond to symptoms, doesn't worry about test results, doesn't worry about whether that whatever is going to happen. She or he knows. And this level of conviction, usually you get to this level of conviction when you know how powerful you are. So if it may seem to you that deciding that you are suddenly a millionaire is too much, and you're just not going to believe it, and it's going to just be like a pointless practice, pointless attempt to change suddenly from being broke to a millionaire, then don't make such a drastic jump. Go for something smaller to begin with so that you can actually prove to yourself that it works. I don't know. Manifest something smaller. Start with small things. Assume from today that you are the person who, if you have many symptoms, for example, you can assume that from today, you are the person who doesn't have the fatigue or doesn't have the pain or doesn't have the tumor, whatever you wanna work on. If it's not everything. But you can go all in. You can. It depends how advanced you are in spiritual work. If you are very new to this work, I would suggest you to go. You can take small shifts, go to the first level, and then once you achieve that, go to a higher level. Because otherwise, you may give up. If for you believing that you can suddenly shift to the highest timeline is difficult to handle, your mind consciously, subconsciously is rejecting this idea, and you're going to give up sooner or later, then go for something smaller, something that sounds more reasonable, more achievable. But don't deny yourself the right to live an abundant life in every area. Because when they say anything that you allow in your environment, in your reality, means you are choosing it. If you are coping with the symptoms, you are coping with whatever financial situation you have, you are coping with whatever relationships you are in, it means you are allowing it, you are accepting it, you are choosing it. So if you are choosing it, then it's going to be part of your reality. And the minute you choose something else and stick to it, that's how you're going to change things. It is unbelievable how things shift when we apply it properly. You may need to practice it a little bit, like I have. But once you properly invest in this practice, shifting more and more, you will see your life changing in the most beautiful ways. And the most important thing, really, to combine all of it, is you need to understand that you are not doing it yourself. That you are only choosing, and the how is not up to you at all. So once you decide, you stick, and your only job is to stick to your assumption and live in the end, as per Neville Goddard. And the how is not to do with you. You are not responsible for doing the how. The how is up to the divine intelligence. So that's why you can just relax. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I've done my deciding. I am now embodying. And the only job that if you want to work on something is work on embodying this new identity more and more and better. Not from the state of wanting and being desperate, but from the state of knowing that this is what you have chosen and you are this now. In my future videos, I will be talking more about how you can assist yourself with embodying the state of the desired reality. But remember that if you don't shift timelines, if you don't choose something else for yourself, you will experience the predicted outcome of the current timeline. Based on your current beliefs, based on your current situation, physically, emotionally, you will experience the logical outcome of what you have been creating so far. So the only way for you to change the trajectory of your life, no matter what it is, health, wealth, relationships, job, anything, you need to choose something better for yourself and stick to it. And you have to remember that serving two masters at the same time is not going to work. You have to be serving one master, the new reality that you are creating for yourself. And support yourself with meditations if you want. It's going to help you. But remember, the meditation is not there to create, to manifest anything for you. It's just to help you embody the new state that you are choosing. So all the best in your creations. And I hope you will decide on what your new identity is from now on. And simply stop playing games with yourself, because that's just the only thing you are doing if you are not deciding fully. You are delaying the process. You are playing little games with yourself. Like, yeah, I would like to, but I don't know exactly. Yeah, I get it, and I sometimes get it, and I feel good after the meditation. Then something happens and I fall back to my old identity. You have to take full responsibility for this. Your life is in your hands. So get serious about it if you really want to see the change. You can tell me in the comments what reality you're choosing for yourself now. All the best.